Hi everyone, my name is Vrycs, and today I'm just going to be discussing Spider-Man 2. Now, this is going to be unscripted and also going to be filled with spoilers because the things I would like to talk about today are effectively all spoiler stuff, so if you have not played the game or even watched it, I recommend doing that before so because genuinely speaking, I don't want to ruin your experience and I will kind of be going off on tangents. Like, I like having scripts, but if I don't have a script, I'm going to be going on discussing one thing and then end up going in a completely different direction in like a minute later. So I'm going to try to hold myself back, but otherwise this is your one and only spoiler warning because I'm going to dive right into everything that I liked about Spider-Man 2 and also things I didn't really like, but nonetheless, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you hear or see or doing whatever you're doing, just maybe drop a like or subscribe and comment down below. Also, apologies in advance. My voice kind of sounds, to me at least, like a little hoarse, some bit of a sore throat, I think, so I took some medicine today, or depending on when you're watching this tonight, because actually no, depending on when I record this, it's like tonight, but my voice kind of feels a bit nasally or something, so I'm hopefully all this footage or video or voice, whatever you call it, sorry, since I'm very exhausted honestly, but I'm still doing this right now. Hopefully it all comes out pretty clear and when I go to fix this up after I'm done talking and such. So like I said, hope you enjoy the video. Starting things off, Kraven and Venom both for me stole the show in many ways. Any scene that they were in, they were demanding of your attention, and I always try to keep an eye on them because it almost seemed like they'd be willing to do anything and it would kind of just be shocking if anything. So when it came to the final moment of Act 2 being as you played Venom in that fight after Harry gets the symbiote back, and then you just go on a tear through Oscorp, you leap down to Times Square and Kraven's hunters come and surround you, and then the final fight with Kraven is so crazy to me. In a way, I thought the symbiote would be going to Kraven, but then I realized Kraven kind of mirrors Harry, who was also afflicted with an illness, and we come to find out throughout our time in the game, Kraven himself is afflicted with a illness that is uncurable like Harry, but in a way they both kind of relate to each other in the sense that one is just looking for, you know, a way to heal not only himself, being Harry, but also the world, and then you have another man who's just so determined to not accept the defeat by, you know, being stuck in the bed in a coma and whatever, and then passing away. Now he's willing to do whatever it takes to find a worthy person to end his life effectively, to kill him. And I was shocked by what happened at the end of the game, or at the middle part of the game, where he just, you know, you play Venom and you feel this overwhelming sense of power, and then you fight Kraven. And to be honest, I was playing on the hardest difficulty at the time, not ultimate, but spectacular, I believe it was. And I was kind of steamrolling him. I kind of felt like it was maybe, you know, Venom in a sense, you know, he was overpowered. He is very powerful, but it just felt like it was almost like rewarding to Kraven because he finally found someone that was not only willing to kill him, but willing to like put up a fight to where he was like, I can die knowing I basically fought the strongest person, the person who would. I thought a worthy person effectively, and it was, you know, him saying thank you before he gets his head completely like just bitten off by Venom is crazy. Like it's just like I didn't think much of it at the time, but like looking back on it and just thinking of it now, it was you know, he in a way he won. I think in a way it's weird to say that he won when he died then and there, but like in reality he accomplished his goal. He came to New York with one goal, to find something or someone worthy of succeeding him, and it all intents and purposes he did. And immediately after that, you know, I'm just gonna structure this now. So Act 1, or the ending of Act 1, is when Peter effectively dies and then gets a symbiote from Harry. Act 2 is the Harry getting back the symbiote, him going through a tear, like I said, through Oscorp, and then fighting hunters and like basically killing Kraven. And then the start of Act 3, Eddie is such a surprising turn of events. I'm still shocked that I didn't see this coming, or, you know, there was a lot of moments in the game where I immediately thought, oh, this is obvious, of course this is what happened. But there were also moments where I was just surprised, and honestly that's a good feeling to have, because, you know, it's not good to like say, oh yeah, I expect this, or oh yeah, I know of everything, because in reality sometimes I'm stupid, sometimes I don't think of like every single possibility. But when when people started getting captured by the symbiotes and being, you know, turned into symbiotes, like, you know, being controlled, I was agape for a moment. Like, I was shocked. Like, after Peter wakes up, after, you know, waking up to see the destruction that Harry or Venom caused, and he goes out to, you know, find where Harry is, and then he finds the visitor, the co-founder card for the Emily May Foundation, and he thinks, Harry, you know, I'm so sorry or whatever. And at the time, I was like, I looked at the symbiote, or, you know, I was looking from front and behind. I was like, that's not Venom. That's way too small of a figure. Turns around, it's a person in it. Then the symbiote completely covers her face, and then there's just the all-out brawl. And then, you know, a few missions later, you're back in the underground lab where you fought, where you found Lizard or Dr. Connors, and you see him taking the meteorite. Which at that, like, during that fight or after that fight, you were introduced to the meteorite. I think actually before you maybe get revealed to you in a dream. Funny enough, but even after that moment, when that moment occurs where Venom takes that meteorite, and then the second you leave the city, and I'm pretty sure my geographical knowledge, or, you know, city knowledge is kind of stupid, because even though we're playing in New York, but Manhattan, I believe that's. If I'm wrong, you know, correct me in the comments, please. Please just do that for me personally. But when that moment happens, and you just come out of the sewers and you see all of Manhattan being taken over by symbiotes, seeing the black tendrils wrap around buildings, it was shocking. I did not expect, in reality, it was probably should have been obvious, but I did not expect like a web of shadows, like, not like a reference, but like, you know, I didn't expect this at all. And then you see the symbiote, I would say basic, like they're more like just nests. Yeah, the symbiote nests appear, and you're just like, oh my god, what? I didn't expect this at all. And it's crazy to me because I think back to the start of the game, which, you know, this current footage you're seeing now is basically end game, either basically after you're done beating the game and you're just exploring the free world, doing like any last minute side missions or other things you didn't do, or right now you're also seeing the beginning of the game. And you know, I was talking to people earlier about this. I was just saying, like, oh yeah, so the city at some point for like Spider-Man 1, you have, you know, the calm before the storm, then the demons attack, and then the Silver Sable is launched on the scene, and then, you know, the mission after that, you see Silver Sable checkpoints all over the city. And then next part, what happens is Devil's Breath is unleashed, and then you see not only that, Raft prisoners are escaping from, you know, Raft after the Sinister Six broke out, and not only are you seeing less people on the streets, but you're seeing, you know, all sorts of criminals and convicts out, just, you know, and you can like try to fight every single one of them, but like they're not ever good. I mean, they're gonna clear up after you beat them, and the, you know, police come in and take them away. But like, it is such a change, and I love that about the first game. And without a doubt, they kind of did that with the Sandman fight, because actually, I should say they do that with a lot of the missions, because after beating some missions, like say like after the raft, or after Kraven takes a few of the people who are on the transport for the boat mission, on the boat mission, after that the destruction of the docks is noticeable. Sandman is the greatest example of this. The start of the game, that entire sequence, the first 20 minutes was incredible. Like, you were swinging, and I'm gonna talk about swinging later. I'm not gonna go off a tangent just yet, but you just see the destruction that he caused, and then by, you know, after the fight, not like you can still go back to the area where you finally took him down. You can see like a lot of the buildings are just kind of, I wouldn't say battle scarred, but there's just damage on them, and there's just stuff destroyed and everything like that. But even before that moment, when you know, go to Brooklyn's and Queens and everywhere else on that side of the other side of New York, effectively. Like I said, I don't know my city or where things are perfectly, you know, apologies. But even before that, just seeing the destruction and everything was incredible, and just nice. Like, I would say nice, but like, you know, bad for them, but it was incredible. And yes, this is thanks to the power of the PS5 and everything about it, because compared to the PS4, you know, it wouldn't work for that kind of hardware. But seeing it now and seeing the destruction of, say, you know, a part of, actually just seeing that early on, I should have like figured something like that was coming soon. And with this, like I said, with the symbiotes, you know, the possibilities were endless. And without a doubt, the one mission after just seeing everything after Venom takes the meteorite, it is without a doubt like, wow, it is wow. And I hope, I'm also gonna talk about this later, like, I'm not going off a tangent. I hope that you're able to select in the time of day switcher, which I like I said, talk about later. I hope you're able to switch to that, the environment changing to that, because I wanted to complete this at the time. I wanted to complete the game, and I didn't want to like wait around and see if, you know, that would still be there. I obviously didn't think it would be, but it being what it was very nice. Like I would have loved to take more screenshots of my playthrough when the city had all the tendrils of the symbiote all over, and it was just, you know, filled to the brim. And I kind of regret I don't do that. I haven't, you know, gotten back haven't got back to that point with my new game not new game plus, my ultimate file save. But I kind of just want to take a break from Spider-Man since I kind of rushed through it. Like I beat it in like maybe 2 days, and I don't normally rush games, but it's Spider-Man, man. It's Spider-Man. So anyway, back to the story. I'll be honest, the moment where Peter got the symbiote, not only before that I kind of made me emotional, but like the entire moment where you're playing as Mary Jane, and you know, you go through the base and just see what, you know, you already get it earlier on cutscene about him killing Scorpion, and Peter sees that and just like, oh. And then the immediate, like, I wouldn't say I felt bad or like you know, like, oh, okay, that's like only one Sinister Six person, but then you just go through that base, or that base outside of I'm not sure where it is, honestly. I can't recall. I know it's told in the story, but I'm blanking on it now. But when you go through that base with Mary Jane, and you just see not only like all the different gear, but like the recordings left, like of Kraven being like, yeah, this guy just was kind of disappointing, or this guy had some kind of fight, but then he gave up. It was like, geez, this guy is crazy, but like, holy, it left me shocked. I cannot lie, it left me very much shocked. And then at the moment afterwards, where Mary Jane is trying to save Dr. Connors, and then Kraven appears, ejects him with an even worse dose of lizard serum. I'm not sure what you call it, but basically turns him into a bigger lizard than ever before. And that entire moment when then Peter is trying to, you know, save them or trying to get them out of there, and then Kraven ends up stabbing him like in basically the stomach, basically a bad spot. And then that entire moment where you're carrying Peter up to like under the I don't know what you call it, under the covers, and then he dies. And then at Duffy, I was like, okay, are we gonna play as Harry now or something? Like, I know that in the background Harry was fighting Kraven, and Kraven, it's almost like he recognized, like, oh yeah, that's not natural. I want to fight that thing. Let me at him real quick. Let me go at him real quick. You know, I don't even. It's funny. I'm pretty sure he didn't even. You know, he may have not even considered Spider-Man to be a worthy opponent, considering he was like, you know, he didn't kill anyone. He didn't go after. You know, he was never whatever. So in a way, it was kind of funny just to see, but also it was without a doubt very emotional. So when that moment happens where you get the symbiote suit, oh man, that is wonderful. And without a doubt in my mind, I think my main complaint when it comes to the story might just be that we don't have. I feel like we don't get enough of Venom. Like when he's present, when he's basically, you know, the main antagonist of Act 3. I think he's very good. He's not at all like wasted in any point. He's very much, you know, he's basically just causing things to escalate more and more. I can think of like the Scream boss fight where Harry goes to Aunt May's place, and that entire sequence is, wow, it was like really good, and it was just very like the ending of it, and then both Peter and MJ kind of forced through Scream, just talking to each other effectively through that fight. Like it was it's easy to get distracted in that fight because you're trying to, you know, beat the boss, but in a way it was MJ, you know, venting about her life as it was, and being a second to, or Peter practically treating her like a second or third wheeler in his life. And, you know, it was a very intense couples therapy, but it was like, wow. Or even the mission where like I said, like after Peter gets knocked, or gets swarmed by symbiotes, and then Martin Lee, which I haven't, oh my god, the villains being reformed I was so happy about. Like Mysterio, and Tombstone, I mean, even though Black Cat, I guess you could say, I mean, she really wasn't necessarily reformed. She'd probably still be thieving if Kraven wasn't around doing anything, but just seeing returning villains being like a bit good, or just trying to, like, you know, not be completely, you know, not like I think actually in reality a lot of the villains kind of, like, even like in the first game, Doc Ock made a lot of the changes to, or did a lot of things for the people of the Sinister Six, so they could actually maybe, like, you know, get better lives. And it kind of sucks that they died in the second game. But like, say Martin Lee, character that Miles has never actually like seen after he got arrested. Like he, it's weird. It's a funny like joke or meme from like say Batman Beyond, where the one main guy after I don't know the characters. I just saw the meme where it's like, do you know how many people that narrows it down to? And him just being mad at Martin Lee, and then that entire fight at the Craven base. Where he then Martin Lee goes basically inside Miles's head, and just in there looking around at all him, and you see all these like different like spots. You see Peter, you see his dad, you see Genki. I want to say you see his mom as well, and they just all berate him. And in a way, I was, I think early on I was expecting Miles to like, it's obviously early on. It's giving the impression that Miles just wants to kill him, or he, his struggle, which also is Peter's struggle, is them trying to figure out a balance to this Spider-Man lifestyle, because Miles has only had the mask on for like 2 years now, judging from the end of The City Sleeps and then Miles Morales, and Peter, obviously had it on for longer, but both of them are struggling to find this balance in their lifestyles. Peter trying to find a job, and then here comes Harry with a new opportunity, and he really wants to take it, but he's struggling to figure out where, he's still struggling how to do it. And even then Craven comes along and makes everything a lot worse. Miles is trying to write a college essay for, to like Empire State University, I believe, and he's trying to, in the second Martin Lee gets released, he's suddenly going all over. He's struggling to like, focus on, his important task in life, or his, outside of Spider-Man. He's trying to focus on he's losing focus on his own things he wants to do in life. So there's that. And then, like I said, when the Martin Lee fight happens, and then, I think basically at near the end of the boss, you expect him to kill him. In fact, like the hunters are chanting for him to kill him, because Miles is effectively even in the mine, the demon, whatever you call it, mind thing, he breaks free from it like Peter did before in the first, few games, and everyone is, I'm expecting him to kill him, but he does the right thing in letting him go and getting him out so he can get Peter's help. And it is like, I was gonna say this, I really like Miles and Peter's growth as, Spider-Man, and also as people. Like, they're able to, do what they need to do in their, they're just good. They're just good. I'm not gonna try to elaborate anymore on that particular scene. But when Martin Lee and Miles go into Peter's head to figure out what or how to, dislodge the symbiote that's still lodged into his mind or whatever, because in reality, a lot of people get impacted by Venom by getting injected into the hive mind, because everyone starts seeing visions or hearing stuff or whatever. But when that moment happens after they reach where whatever the issue is that's harming Peter, and then Miles takes off his mask and basically tells him, I can never forgive you, but I gotta let go of this hate. And throughout the game, Miles is getting new powers thanks to Martin Lee, maybe just because of his interactions with him. And I think in a sense he does gain these powers from basically just being around him, which is kind of funny. But I'll talk about powers in a second. I still gotta get through some things in the story. But when that moment happens, and then we get the reveal of anti-venom afterwards, that is crazy. Like, okay, you know what? I was mad when we lost the symbiote powers, because in reality they were very fun to use, but they really did like make you like fight a few symbiotes as Peter, and you're just like, damn, this sucks. Like, these spider arms, they were good for humans, but these symbiotes, man, this is not going great at all. And then when the moment you get it, and you get the the ability to throw a symbiote bomb, or then use like a rising move to take out like many symbiotes, which I love it. Like, that was great. And I'll be honest, I really like both the symbiote suit being like the kind of gloomy, I don't know what you call it, like what kind of material you'd call it. And then same thing for an anti-venom suit. It's, I guess, kind of follows this. At the very least, it follows the pattern that is on the regular PS4 suit, the regular PS4 suit. And I like that suit a lot. Like, I like both the symbiote suit, both being like the regular black suit, and then it becomes the symbiote suit like after a while, after like a certain encounter. I think it's maybe after Craven, or after they invade the Emily May Foundation, and then it just becomes full symbiote, and you can, like I said, that it's good. And same thing with the anti-venom suit. Like, it's very good. And so when that happened, it was like, wow. And here's the thing, I didn't even know. In a way, I kind of have heard of anti-venom. I thought that would be Venom, I think, but seeing it here where it's Peter and it has like the whole suit thing, it's just like very cool. I really like that a lot. and then going into, I guess, like the last part of the game, the final boss where it's funny. Early on in the game, after Harry is reunited with Peter, they go to I can't think of the school's name, but they go back to their high school effectively, and they retrace memories, and there's all that, and for the final boss, there's the sequence where it's the Mary Jane section, which I'm talking about short here because I've already gone a long bit about talking about the overall story, but it was all the Mary Jane sections are like great. Each, like, at one point, I think the first one may be the weakest because you're kind of just not really able to just quickly rush up enemies, throw things to distract them, and then stun them. But at least in the second time you do it, you get like a web shooter, so you can just web someone to a car like Spider-Man, and that's like very fun. That was amazing. And then by the time the end of the game comes around, you get the ability to you get the ability to like shoot the sound waves that Miles and Peter create when they're trying to figure out basically how to make a counter device, and you get that on your stun gun, and that immediately just it's like the same amount of fun. Like, I'm almost playing like a cover shooter in a sense, but you can only die for one hit. I'm gonna be a minute. I've tried to rush in multiple times, and I was like, oh, I ran out of ammo or recharge. I have to wait for the recharge, and I get swarmed, and I kind of die easily. It's not my fault. You should probably play a bit more slowly but methodically, but I kind of like Mary Jane in this game is very much a lot faster than what is in Spider-Man 1. So there's that, and then you get the Peter sequence where you are swinging back to the high school, and that entire area gets picked up by the tendrils, the symbiote tendrils, and you're fighting up there, and Peter is trying to, at the point where Harry gets absorbed by the symbiote. Peter already knows that's not great for you. Like, he had to fight Miles had to get that suit off him, and ultimately it was Peter who was able to rip it off, and he's trying to do everything to convince Harry that he's already told before by Dr. Connors that Harry's already lost. He's not going to be able to get off. Even if he gets the suit off, he's going to die. And Peter, and especially Norman Osborn, which I hopefully will discuss in just a moment, they're desperate to get Harry back. So Peter is trying to do everything, while fighting Venom to convince Harry to remove the suit. And then that sequence happens where every time he beats a phase, he grabs them, and then he shakes them off more and more. And then after a certain while, it basically just syncs up to when the meteorite was stolen, and then Venom just grows these massive wings, and they are incredible. I'm fully shocked that I was like, how is Venom gonna get back to the Emily May Foundation quickly enough? And then he just sprouts wings that are amazing, and they are based off a comic artist. I might just display them on screen if I'm remember while listening back to this in my editing process of this, but it is amazing. And then he just flies back, cuts back to Mary Jane and Miles, and then basically the third and fourth phase of that fight begin, and then the final moment of the game occurs where they're in the sky after Venom is trying to fly away again, and they're beating him, pummeling him down back to the Emily May Foundation to get the particle accelerator to effectively sound nuke the symbiotes off of New York. And it is like that sequence was incredible. In fact, a lot of the bosses in the game are I'd say a lot better than for the first game, and they definitely do. I'll talk about it in just a moment. I gotta finish the story thing, but yeah, you get to that point. Peter, eventually, Harry is able to do the same thing as Peter, rip the symbiote, off his body for the most part. He's he does not cover it up or whatever, and then Peter has to do the sacrifice of blasting with anti-venom to not only remove what is on Harry, but also so Venom doesn't actually. Before they land back into the Emily May Foundation, Harry is able to also unmask himself and say that, yeah, if you don't kill me now or do whatever you're gonna do now, he will kill your friends, and then Venom will kill you effectively, or he'll take back control of Harry. He'll kill MJ and Miles, and then he will kill Peter. And it's very emotional. I will not lie, it made me that entire sequence was after falling to the ground, maybe just tear up. And then you just hear the sound wave go off. The sound would go off, effectively remove all symbiotes from New York, and it's just or Manhattan and Brooklyn and Queens and wherever else the symbiote has gotten its hands onto. And then it's just that moment afterwards where they all get up and they notice Harry is not responding. Miles saves him, and then, you know, he wakes up just to say Peter's name, blacks back out. They take him outside to get him to a hospital. Then Norman, he gets mad at Peter and Miles, or both Spider-Man. And I've been waiting. I think we kind of knew something was happening, because obviously Norman Osborn is the Green Goblin. I think everyone knows this. You know, second game, he was in reality, a lot of things that occur in these games, for, you know, the Insomniac games, a lot of things are kind of revolve back around to Oscorp and everything. And in reality, like, Devil's Breath was made for Harry. The symbiote was used to save Harry, and now his son is not only without a symbiote, which, to be fair, is probably good, but he's now kind of in a coma again, and we don't, you know, his fate is kind of undetermined. Maybe he lives, maybe he doesn't. We don't know. But, you know, when it comes to that, and then, you know, you see at the before the credits roll, you see a doctor tell Norman what chances Harry has, and you just see him go, like, you know, mad and break things, and both MJ and Peter leave for him to grieve, and then, you know, the credits roll, and then you see the first post-credits scene being Norman going to Dr. Otto Octavius, and you know, everything is effectively leading to the final chapter. And without a doubt, in my mind, Green Goblin probably is on the way. Now, do we know what he's going to be? I think we should just expect for these type of games and what they bring for their characters, I think we should easily see a bit of a mix of, you know, some of the comic iterations, maybe like him being on a jet, I don't know, a jet ski, like a skateboard, hoverboard, or whatever you call it, or maybe him being an actual, like, giant green goblin, like what he says for when he calls whoever when he's with Harry and asking for the G serum. Like, there's an infinite amount of possibilities, and with what they did with Venom here, and how they, you know, had Harry be basically the one who, by the end of the game, had him on, you should just expect anything. And Norman, it's basically teasing, like, these were going to be the big two baddies of the next game for the most part. Maybe there's something else that we don't know about, since, like, say, for example, we didn't even know Kraven was going to be a main threat of Spider-Man 2 when Spider-Man 1 ended. We kind of knew Venom was coming, but we didn't know Kraven was coming, so there's that. And then the other moment is when Rio Morales, while Miles' mom, shows off characters I didn't recognize at first, and then they realized that they were Cindy and then her father, Albert, I believe that's his name. And without my mind, look forward to it. It's something different, you know. Like I said, like, Venom was completely different. It wasn't Eddie Brock, it was Harry who had the symbiote on. And same thing here, you could easily expect, say, Gwen, like Spider-Gwen or something like that. But seeing Cindy, a character I guess I got recently introduced to, like, not, I think I read recently like the 2014 run of the Amazing Spider-Man comics, and that part of the comics had Spider-Verse occur, and Cindy was there, or Cindy was introduced to that time. I don't know. Marvel comics are confusing enough. I was like, just randomly decided to read it because, you know, Spider-Verse, Spider-Man hype, whatever. But, like, I just recently read it and I enjoyed it, and, you know, I didn't recognize her at first, but if she's in the next game and playable in the next game, be that let's say like a Miles Morales spin-off or something, even or just in the next game even, I'll be happy. I think that's a very, you know, cool decision to do for Insomniac, and that's a perfect way to introduce her into the mainstream in a sense, because I usually think these games are probably the most the most successful Spider-Man games, I think, in a long while. Like, it's without a doubt, these games have done well and probably will continue to do well. They're Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man is famous. Everyone loves who Spider-Man is. So without a doubt in my mind, that, you know, that's pretty cool. So with that, you see, I still jumped over a lot of things that I'd like to talk about, but there's just been stuff on my mind that I want to, you know, talk about now, and without a doubt in my mind, that's basically, for the most part, that's my story mindset, my story, whatever. I'm probably gonna cut some of this down, so you might not hear some of these tangents, but yeah, it is what it is. Now, the next thing I'd like to bring focus to is combat. Now, going into Spider-Man 2, I didn't think much would necessarily change, maybe new things here and there, but judging from how much I played now and looking back on it, I kind of was wrong. There are some new tools, for example, the way that you can rip off weapons, be knives, shields, guns, and throw that back at them. That's very fun and causes like an instant knockdown, which is pretty good. We also have the web yoink, or I guess like the web directional pull, meaning you can not only pull them straight towards you, you can pull them to the right or left, causing them to running into walls. And that's very fun because, say you just want to like get someone on the wall immediately, you just gotta yoink or pull them to the wall, your web spinning over there, and then you're just able to beat down on them or just web them up, and they're effectively out of the fight. It's very convenient, I won't lie. But the biggest change is the introduction of the parry. Now, originally, Spider-Man 1 and 2, or Miles Morales, I should say, both didn't feature a parry system. They just featured a dodge system where you dodged every single attack, be it you flipped over them, you slid under them. In many ways, it was really convenient and also very fast paced. It didn't like ruin the flow of gameplay. Introducing the parry here, it's hard to say. I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but it was hard to get used to because my brain was so racked from just being able to dodge every attack in Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales. So when it came to here, it took some time to get adjusted to. And I won't lie, on a lot of bosses, I tried to be a lot more aggressive, and I got punished for it because either A, I parried a little too early, and then I took a lot of damage, or I parried too late, and it minimized damage, but obviously my flow meter and my combo meter were sent back to 0, which is crucial in fights to have this kind of back and forth between having basically no meter to having a full combat flow gauge for, say, a takedown or healing, because the game, another gripe I do actually have is I can't recall which game it is off the top of my head, but I know for the very least, maybe it was Spider-Man 1, not Miles Morales, I knew you could still heal depending on, even if your gauge wasn't necessarily full, but you know, depending on how much of the focus bar you had full, you get like health depending around that, which I think is pretty good, pretty neat. So here, I won't lie, pairing did take a lot of time to get used to, and I won't lie, I'm still semi getting used to it still. I've certainly gotten better with it compared to when I started playing the game, but it's something that makes this game a lot different, because say for bosses, for example, or even some are tougher brutes, they have multi-hitting attacks, meaning you have to parry, say, 3 times in a row, then you can start wailing on them. And it's a hard thing to get used to because you think, okay, I can maybe cheese them out, say, by parrying once, and maybe just getting a few hits in before parrying again, and then deal even more damage. But no, it's a consistent 1, 2, 3, you parry, and then you're wailing on them then. Now, even still, that doesn't mean you can't influence, say, how combat may go if you're trying to parry. Because, say, if you have a gadget like the multi-web thing, or even the concussion blast, you can use that to stun a boss. Even the taser one that launches enemies can basically stun a boss's attack, meaning you can go on crazy with that. But for the most part, parrying is also pretty crucial because it allows you to get your abilities back a lot faster. Depending on what upgrades you have, I chose the upgrades where every time I parried successfully, and say I parried 3 times in a row, the abilities would charge a lot faster and I get them back a lot quicker. So it is very convenient. I like to play more of an aggressive combat style, and there's certainly ways you can mix and match this limited skill tree you have to suit your style. Because, like, for example, I also did the ability where if I shot webs at someone, I would heal a little bit, which did help out in fights because, hey, I didn't have any focus at all, and take like a minute, like to just take a few hits to get full bar of focus back to heal. I would just web up someone, and I got healing. It's pretty convenient. So parrying is pretty interesting, but I can't say I don't hate it. Now, for gadgets, some people, myself included, well, I personally speaking, Spider-Man 1 wasn't actually, I'd say the combat for the most part, and this is the same for Spider-Man 2 now that I'm max level and everything, but combat, I'd argue, was very easy at some point. You had all sorts of gadgets to basically stun or even control how a room was. You had the suit abilities, which say, the one class of suits ability in that game was effectively you just clear the room, say, for an encounter, and it was very easy to, I would say spam, but just have, like, it's just a, a free clear a room of enemies real quick, and then you can maybe fight the next wave that comes in or so. So I get why people aren't necessarily happy about, the unique suit powers being not present in this game, but it was just kind of the same in Miles Morales, where they didn't include any new suit powers, they just relied on the gadgets and your web shooters and such. And for here, people might miss a few of the gadgets. For example, like the gravitational, I guess, like shooter thing, even though the electric shock taser, whatever you want to call it, does that kind of same function and launches a lot of enemies in the air. It's very good for just, continuing an air combo or bringing people who are not on the ground into the air, which is pretty good, I'd say. We had the multi-web thing, which is not only grabs people, but grabs like just random things that you can throw at them. So like trash cans, bins, mailboxes, anything that's like in the area. That would be very helpful for combat. If there's just one person, you just get that one person gets a barrage of metal into their bodies, which is kind of funny, I won't lie. And then we also have the concussion blast, which lies into not only stunning enemies, but for the symbiotes it stuns them even more, which is pretty convenient. And it's a nice little upgrade as at a certain point where you get it in the game. I'd argue I really like that we don't have to rely on gadgets. Not that I hate them, but it kind of feel like we're playing like a Ratchet and Clank game, which to be fair, Spider-Man is not Ratchet and Clank. He just shouldn't happen to rely on a giant weapon wheel, which, to be fair, some of the gadgets were fun, yes. They were very good, but I think prioritizing 4 and them being like quick gadgets that you can use in combat and like, you know, say get a finisher, you get 1 gadget back, or like you have the upgrade where you get a bonus gadget for knocking someone out, and then you can, you know, just use any gadget that you want. It's pretty good. I can't lie. It's very, very fun, and I really like the change of it. And yeah, it really does help the flow of combat because it does make you more engaged, because in most cases, more than not, I was auto mode in like Spider-Man 1 and even in 2, or even in Miles Morales, where you had like, even with the 4 gadgets, they were still pretty good, and you know, and mixed with Miles' abilities. And diving into that once again, both Peter's and Miles' abilities are very fun to just utilize. And when it comes to enemy variety, I'd have to say the game is pretty good on that. Say for the hunters, we have example the robot dogs that prevent you from using your abilities and your gadgets, meaning you have to target them on proxy if they ever use that ability. Or if you're in the air for too long during a fight with that kind of gang, they're able to throw an electrical field up in the sky, preventing you from comboing in the air, meaning you may have to move out of the way to, you know, grab more people up to not take any damage, or just combo and focus on the ground till that field dissipates. It's a way to, you know, keep things balanced and keep you on your toes. Same thing for the symbiotes. Symbiotes have, I believe, the red and purple symbiotes. I forgot the word for a second, but they both have, I'd say, unblockable attacks where you have to dodge out of the way instead of parrying. And say for you get grabbed by the red one, you'd be dragged in to be, you know, get hit by a parryable attack, or even the blue one, you have to dodge out of the way because they are so fast. Like, it's unfortunate that you can't block them. I think it'd be very cool, but either way, like, you just gotta dodge out of the way, and that's, at the end of the day, provides a bit of spice and challenges you to stand your toes and keep mindful of what enemies to take down and focus on first. Even the bigger brute enemies may seem pretty challenging, but in reality, if you're able to get up 2 bars of focus, you're able to really quickly take them down and also just, you know, get them out of the fight. It is, once again, in terms of both this game and the previous games in this series, a focus on who to target first, who to take out using gadgets first, or weaken even, and I really enjoy that. It's very fun for me to just, you know, like in my head quickly analyze what the combat scenario I may be in, depending on the enemies and who's, you know, in a room with me, and I basically go after the biggest guy first, so I can maybe get people closer together, so I can say chain a bigger melee attack, let's say with the spider arms, or even the Miles's new, I guess, electric, you know, launch in the sky and crash back down, or even the dragon. There's just a lot of synergy and a lot of fun to be had with this system. And to repeat myself, I think the boss fights in this game are, once again, great. They are excellent in every sense of the word. They are a great improvement to what we had in both the first game and Miles Morales, and without doubt, I would have gladly taken more of these fights in the future if possible. I think like Lizard and even Venom were probably my favorites. Lizard just because you had, you know, the regular 2 phases, they introduced some new stuff in there, and then you had a chase with him throughout New York, and then you got back into the boss fight, and that same kind of gimmick kind of, you know, happened with the last, or the Venom fight, where you are fighting the first 2 phases as Peter, and then he gets you know, start playing as Miles and the Emily May Foundation with a flying Venom, and then you can also knock him to the ground. There's just a lot of variables, and especially in the last cutscene bit where you are beating down with Peter, and then you are fighting, then you're doing that same thing with Miles, and then it's just, and the entire sequence is very great. I'll just put that out. It's not like, it's not combat, but I won't lie, it's still amazing and just fun to like look back on, and just whenever I get to it, you know, in another save or whatever, I'll be excited in a sense. I'll be looking forward to it. And to just briefly speak about traversal in this game, they outdid themselves, man. Not only is the swinging greatly improved from what we had in Spider-Man 1 to Miles Morales to here, but the web wings as an addition is just fun. This game has ruined me in terms of how I can go about, you know, traveling around the city, and in any other game now I'm gonna be wishing, man, I wish I could be swinging around or just flying around, because it feels so seamless, and the sense of speed that is so noticeable from this game compared to the first game is crazy. Like, it's gonna be a struggle for me to even go back to play the first game, you know, because just going around the world seems you're going so slow, but in this game you travel across New York so fast. Like, it doesn't matter if you're going through wind tunnels, it doesn't matter if you're swinging, and there's so many neat additions like added to the this how swinging works. So say we have the loop-de-loop where you just dive down for a little bit, then you swing back up and you go around, and you can launch yourself really in any direction. You know, it doesn't matter if you're doing the full loop or not. Like, if you want to get airtime, you can just launch yourself, you know, at the end, or even in the beginning. You may want to launch yourself in the opposite direction, so you may just go like halfway around to like you're about 3/4 of the way there. You just launch yourself behind yourself, which is pretty convenient. We have the corner turning web, which basically means you're easily able to make turns while swinging, compared to the first game, or even Miles Morales, where you had to maybe, you know, stick on a building just to get a turn, because, you know, it didn't really look, I would say, didn't look nice, but it didn't seem very, you know, fluid. It seemed very, in a way, kind of difficult. So they made a button where you just have to press the circle button to just turn, and you don't even have to like just turn. If it's like, say, a pole or something, and you want to like just go around that like multiple times just to even gain more speed or whatever, you know, that works perfectly fine. And also, just talking about the speed, I for some reason I'm thinking of like a slingshot. Yeah, the slingshot boost, whatever you call it. There's certain points of the map where you can, you know, launch yourself using these 2 poles, but you know, you'll get a certain ability where you can just you'll get an upgrade where you can just use it at any point, and it is so nice because you just say you just finished doing combat and you want to get back into like the flow of swinging or just flying across the city again. You just gotta do that, and you're already halfway across the city. It's crazy. It's crazy fun, and it is once again traversal I wish was in other games, even though they're not, you know, Spider-Man games, and clearly they're not trying to be Spider-Man. They're trying to be their own things. But just it's so fun. This game is probably gonna keep me, like, you know, even if I'm done with the story and all the additional objectives and trophies and whatever, I still just want to go back and swing around because it just feels so rewarding and so nice, and I don't know how else to describe it or how else to like talk about it because it's just so good. Now this last bit is basically just gonna be me nitpicking some things. These aren't big issues, and I doubt they'll be like not solved for a while. If anything, you know, it's been about 2 or 3 weeks or so since the game launched, so I suspect these will be patched in or something like that. So here we go. One, the lack of change of day, it kind of sucks that we can't really, you know, change the day at the end of the game. You notice most of the footage is basically, you know, at basically the end of the game footage is me just, you know, swinging around in the sun. Now there has been a way to actually change the weather, the time of day, thanks to Mysterio challenges. I didn't go back and re-record my footage, do that, but there is methods and ways you can change your weather or time of day, which is pretty neat. Another thing is the lack of replayable missions. I don't think it was in the first game unless it was in remastered, and I know for Miles Morales they allowed you, after you beat the game, you could replay any mission you'd like, which I think is pretty neat. So it's kind of a shame that you can't do that here. I'm suspecting they're going to add that in later on, you know, maybe in the next 2 weeks or so. And then the last kind of gripe or kind of annoyance is the lack of a new game plus mode at launch. I notice a lot of games these days are doing this, and it's kind of unfortunate that, you know, the trend follows here in Spider-Man, but at the end of the day, it's not like it's a big deal. I wasn't planning on rushing through the game again off the top of my head. I mean, I might have done it, but also I wanted to just take a break and take a breather and see how I felt with it. And, you know, it is what it is. I can happily wait for another New Game Plus because I can happily wait for a New Game Plus because I'm already starting another game on the ultimate difficulty with, you know, and that's just with no upgrades or anything. So I want to see how different the challenges or how even harder the game is going to be, because I'm suspecting it's going to be harder with, you know, me just having to level up the characters again and such, which I don't mind. But hopefully New Game Plus gets added soon. And with that, I'm going to say this is the ending of the video. I haven't really done one of these before. I haven't really talked about something in length like Spider-Man, or like I haven't talked about anything in length like this, not really using a script or anything, not really having a good structure. I know it's been all over the place, and I hope that at the very least, if you've been listening, you've just had it on the background, which I would have greatly appreciated even that, if anything. So I'll end it probably here. I will say I'm not sure when or how or whatever, but maybe in the next week or so I'll be trying to actually start streaming on YouTube. I've been wanting to do that because it just, you know, there's been a game I've been wanting to play for Halloween, and then I look back and it's already past Halloween, so late Halloween games, I guess. But maybe in the next week or two, depending on how things are going, I'll let you guys know on Twitter or any other social media platform, or even on my YouTube channel community post. Otherwise, I'm in Vrycs. Have a good day or night, and I'll see you guys later. Stay safe.